disturbed, these priceless pieces of history get damaged or destroyed.
I forgot my microphone.
Cost the companies seeking to do this work more money.
Yeah, you can
when
hear
they,
something, can't you?
Disturb these artifacts.
Sorry, I'm late.
And are faced with fines and cleanup, like the Micah shipwreck, which was bisected by a pipeline in 2001. It cost ExxonMobil $250,000 in fees to mitigate the damage it caused that could have been found from the beginning had there been a consistent survey. Again, saving that company money. This is not new. The Bureau of Ocean Energy Management has had guidelines on marine archaeology since 1982, and since have been updated during administrations from both parties to create greater consistency and predictability for everyone involved. These rules have stood for 40 years because they protect artifacts and protect the oil and gas companies from the liability of unknowingly destroying irreplaceable pieces of history. Each update to the rules
These kids aren't sleeping.
Hi, Neil. Good morning. Use the best available science and ensure compliance with the National Historic Preservation Act.
I was listening to these.
Has provided oil and gas companies with more clarity and consistency.
Trudeau's having a press conference.
Seeks not only to undo all of that work
Hold on just a minute.
but it will prohibit such a rule from ever being
9:30. Oh well, that should be now, right?
In counter to some arguments,
where is it?
This rule is not financially burdensome. BOEM reports the total annualized financial impact for the entire oil industry.
I would say hello, loungers and loungers, but no one's here.
For an industry with a reported pre-tax profit of $83.9 billion in 2024.
But we're here.
This is a negligible impact.
Order. The hearing is on defense mobilization.
America's energy dominance.
I'm pleased to welcome three witnesses to testify today. Jerry McGinn is a widely published former DOD
this is Armed Services. I wanted to watch this today.
Who worked at the heart of the Pentagon's industrial base efforts. Chris McKenzie brings a similar resume. She spent much of her career inside the Industrial Base Policy Office at DOD. And Dave Berto comes to us from the Professional Services Council. Before that, he served as the Assistant Secretary of Defense for Logistics and Material Readiness, early put industrial base.
The ability to deploy well-trained troops and advanced weapons to the front line is important in any armed conflict.
I'm checking. I don't see
but
anything.
The ability to sustain those forces
the child care announcement in Ottawa.
Supplies and munitions is just as important. The Defense Acquisition University defines industrial mobilization as, quote, the process of marshaling the industrial sector to provide goods and services, including construction, required to support military operations and the needs of the civil sector during
but it's not specifically about that.
Put more
it's about childcare, which is great.
Industrial mobilization represents the Defense Department's ability to call on the private sector in times of crisis. I am concerned that the United States is not currently prepared to do this effectively.
I hope you, if you check my Twitter or my Blue Sky this morning,
the war in Ukraine and the incredible amount of military support we have provided
more urgent.
has been vital for Ukraine's survival, but it has exposed our own industrial base vulnerabilities. We have learned that our capacity to produce vast amounts of artillery shells, precision munitions,
but I want you to know that there was some economic news this morning
is much more limited than we realize. Our capacity has expanded significantly over the past 3 years, but we have relied on existing tools such as the Defense Production Act to overcome supply chain problems.
I want to say this. I know. I'm sorry, sir. I understand, Mr. Reed. Mr. Reed, I love you very much. Let me just say something. If you go to my Twitter or my Blue Sky this morning, there is a CNN story that says U.S. employers added... Wait, let me get it right because I don't want to fuck it up. Where am I? Oh my God, I'm so prolific this morning. Oh, here we go. U.S. employers cut more jobs last month than any February since 2009. Headline, CNN. U.S. employers cut more jobs last month than any February since 2009. Jump on it. This is the failure. Good morning, gal. How are you? Yeah. So there. We're watching the Armed Services Committee. It's good news for Canada, though. It means almost all provinces and territories have signed on. Oh, for the child care? That's fantastic. I mean, I think I've teed it up, so we can definitely check in on it when we get in a break or something. Sweet. Hi, Lee. How are you? All right.
We may face,
this is Armed Services Committee. Hold on, I got to label
will require much greater levels of military
but I want you to share that economic news.
As well as interagency coordination to leverage a whole
fewer jobs than since February 2009.
The process of large-scale mobilization dates back to the World War II era. When America entered the war, there was an enormous increase in military production, ships, planes, artillery, vehicles, and more, which eventually earned us the title as
That's awesome. National Child Care, that's fucking cool.
However, we must not forget that the industrial ramp-up actually began long before the war started and did not yield significant results until we were years into the fight. This is an important lesson we should remember today. Industrial mobilization does not occur overnight. Further, while we have a useful model from our experience in World War II, it is not a blueprint for the future. We must recognize the industrial base of today is very different from any period in the past, especially considering our reliance on information technology and software-based systems. We will need to mobilize different sectors of the economy and workforce unlike any time before. Moreover, we cannot assume, as we did in World War II, that our production facilities will be safe from kinetic or cyber attack, or that we will have uncontested supply lines for materials. I would ask our witnesses to discuss the lessons they have drawn from the war in Ukraine and what processes they believe need to start now so that the United States is prepared to win the next contest. This committee has spent years examining the challenge around these issues. We have worked to identify supply chain problems and improve investments in long lead items of the military. In recent National Defense Authorization Acts, Congress has directed the Department of Defense to stress test its industrial mobilization and supply chain capabilities. The department has found a number of challenges, including integration of software and information technology, but it is clear that material and labor shortages are the biggest problems to increase production. Indeed, there is nothing more important for our defense mobilization strategy than our workforce, the men and women in the Defense Acquisition Corps and the personnel in the Defense Industrial Base. We cannot solve our industrial mobilization and acquisition
My mom's 101-year-old friend,
101-year-old
friend, don't forget that fucking year, who was a Liberal Party organizer, immigrated from Ukraine, told her to pay attention. So it's very cool, but I thought it would have been a different topic.
Well,
we'll definitely check in on it, though, Jane.
And effective is important, but production capacity
I appreciate the chance to cover Canadian news, too, because it makes sense, first of all. And I really appreciate, I want you guys to get something, I don't want it to be completely U.S. focused, although it obviously is. I'd love to make sure we include some Canadian stuff.
Which the administration is undertaking right now. The urgency around these issues.
I know. I need the old guys. I get they're really great. I understand that.
And China calculates
I'm old. I'm really great.
We have to make sure our defense industrial base is able to adapt, scale, and outpace our competitors in the 21st century. And I would ask our witnesses to everything. How we might overcome this challenge,
is that,
and how we can ensure that the workforce in place is there to do so.
Well, and the thing about it is,
and thank you.
That's just the way the world is now, right? And you're so close by, and I don't understand all your politics. I think it's, and I got hooked on them when I watched The Convoy.
Opening statement.
Thank you.
I know, I got a core, but I mean, I think it's all getting
Good morning.
Interconnected.
It is a privilege to be
here.
my
audience. Am I going to lose audience, Neil?
Having this hearing on this important topic, which is critical facing the nation.
And international press
is
better.
States has the
I agree with that. 100%.
Lethal and capable fighting force in the world.
Okay.
Full stop.
Sure.
But as we've seen in recent war games, as well as in challenges that the Senator Reid alluded to in production.
Have you seen Pete Hegseth? Have you heard him talk?
We have real industrial base.
Oh my God! I heard Pete Hegseth talk last night.
So
He's a
these
fucking
challenges
idiot.
led me to do a study that addressed the following question: how well is the U.S. industrial base prepared to mobilize in the event of major conflict? The short answer, published in our report before the balloon goes up, is that our ability to win a major war with a near-peer competitor is very much at risk. Unless senior officials across Washington and industry pursue
because
bold
we're about
actions
to put boots on the ground.
We face potentially catastrophic consequences should the balloon go up in East Asia or elsewhere. Drawing on historical and recent cases, we developed a series of recommendations to enable industrial mobilization. I'd like to focus on two areas specifically.
Oh
One
my God.
is the authorities and planning capabilities. And then secondly, our ability to scale.
I don't know what it would be
so
like
in the area of authorities
to
and
have
planning,
to report to him.
As you all know very well, the government's ability to mobilize industrial base starts with our legal authorities and the policies and plans.
He is a drinker.
The famous
so
War Production
gross
Board
so
of the Arsenal of Democracy in World War II helped organize government industry to address those challenges.
Lifelong
during the
serving
Iraq
the
and
country,
Afghanistan wars,
advanced degrees, everything, right? These guys have everything.
Mine-resistant ambush protected
the people
vehicle.
at the top. I'm so
Defense
sorry, I didn't mean to
Production
say
Act
guys.
was critical to
the
help
people at the top of the
produce those
military
vehicles.
have like
And then we all
advanced
felt,
degrees
that
and
saw the power
years of
DPA
combat
during COVID.
experience and
So,
da-da-da-da-da.
Overall, our legislative authorities are
proven
strong,
leaders.
but I think there are several opportunities before us. The first, as you know, DPA is up for reauthorization this year. DPA has had tremendous impact on rebuilding and reshoring industrial base
Remember
capacity.
when we didn't use it in COVID in time?
It is essential to reauthorize DPA and keep it focused exclusively on national security issues, particularly threats from China. DPA Title III is an important tool for building industrial capacity.
What if we looked at China as a huge trading partner and figured out the whole IP thing? God, you know, can we work towards that?
Enable strong demand
Everybody in the world is going to
industrial
exist. I think it's time to understand how to deal with that.
Specialty
Hi,
chemicals
Karen. Good morning.
and critical materials. But
See,
currently,
Pepper
purchase
and
commitments
Neil
are
and
not
Jane and Gal
allowed, are not enabled because the
and
DPA funds are being
Dean Wall, good
appropriated
morning.
with procurement dollars,
Good morning,
which expire,
sir.
as
So
opposed
nice
to
to see you
traditional
here.
DPA
And I think that's
appropriations, which
everyone
do
that
not
has
expire.
arrived so far.
And there's a real opportunity in another section of
morning.
titles of the DPA, Title VII,
Happy
where we have
Thursday.
two sections of authority that haven't been used since the Cold War that are really powerful. One is Section 708, which allows the creation of voluntary agreements between government and industry that allows collaborative industry government engagement on critical
or
supply
Blackwater or
if we were to we have a few of these available
Yeah, we
now,
have
but
three
if we were
companies
really kind
now.
of invest in these
Elmo,
efforts, we could have that
Blackwater,
collaboration we had during the War
and
Production
what'd I
Board
just say?
years.
I can't remember the
The
other one.
second section is Section
Ottawa has reached a
710,
deal with the
which
majority of
allows the
provinces
creation
to allow
of
Canadian
called
booze
National
to
Defense
flow more
Executive
freely
Reserve,
across the
which is
country.
essentially a
Woohoo!
group of industry experts that can come into government
Connects for the
during a
win.
crisis. So this is a
Carla,
tremendous
do it. Take your time.
authority that has
Take your
not been
time. Be
used since,
gentle.
the 1980s. So, and the other thing we need to do on the
But I want you guys to look at my Twitter and my Blue Sky and share because the economic news this morning is dismal.
We have to build this across the U.S. government.
Dismal.
And then we also
He's
have to
crashing
relook
the
some
economy.
of the executive orders that
As we speak, we're going into recession.
DPA.
Thank you so much,
Now,
Jane. I
transitioning from
appreciate that.
authorities to
this is the
to
plan.
our
Ay, ay,
capabilities, we really have to focus on turbocharging
You know,
our
they were
efforts
right
to
when they
change
said
how
it's a
we
new world
design,
order.
re-
It's just the
resource,
wrong
acquire,
people.
and sustain capabilities. As the ranking member talked about, it's not just about acquisition reform, it's about how we buy.
Is there any update on
We
that?
have to design
No,
things
Lee,
for
no.
production. We have to
No-
focus
no
less on
deadline. They're
requirements and
worried.
have more adaptive ways to create technology.
They're worried about Al Green and censuring him this morning. I was watching. Now they're talking about oil drilling, drill baby drill, and they're getting rid of a law. They're caught. See, this is my warning signal. Bit by bit, they're codifying the destruction that this administration wants to wreak on everything that is good about our country. So, for example, this morning, they're talking on the floor of the House about removing protections for archaeological digs in the ocean. That's what they're talking about. Removing the protections against disturbing archaeological sites in the ocean. So, bit by bit, the House is working on actual bills that will codify the funding cuts, the this, the that, and go after specific rules that get in the way of oil drilling or crypto or AI mining or whatever. That is what the plan is. So anyway, can we stop it? Probably not, because they have the majority. I also don't want to stop screaming about the fact that when Trump was leaving the SOTU or whatever it was, when he said to John Roberts, "I won't forget what you did. Thank you." What the fuck was that? And no, there's no one to investigate it. There's no one. I don't know. I don't know, probably days. I don't know what their plan is with the budget, to be honest with you. I mean, the US employers posted less or fewer jobs than any February since 2009. That came out this morning. The economic news is really important to pay attention to. We are going to go into a recession, or we're entering one. I don't think that's hyperbole. That's what all the pundits I'm looking at are saying. And I mean pundits like the Atlanta Fed. I'm not picking up, Joe's Economics, and weed cart. I'm not going there to get it. Anyway, that's the plan. The New World Order is here, and it's these guys. Yeah, 2009 was the height of the housing crash and unemployment, right? When do we take to the streets? I don't know, Lee. I really don't know. Yeah, buy a helmet, because we're going to have to get out there. Like, I'm telling you right now, they're slowly, even though the shiny objects on the front are really important, right? All the bullshit. They're making it harder to unwind what they've done. They're making it impossible to unwind the damage that they're about to do. I really want to also understand that we're 40, how many days are we into this bullshit? 40 or something? I don't even know. So let's say we're 40 days in. The part of Project 2025 had a specific plan that within 180 days of the administration starting, things would be accomplished, I really feel like I need to understand if they've telegraphed the progression of things. You know what I'm saying? Like, what should we be like? Because what the game is with these folks, wow, it's so surprising to me that we haven't really collectively caught on, and I mean media. The game is to just lie, because they have already conditioned people to believe whatever it is that comes out of their mouth. They don't even think about it anymore. That's why I feel so strongly that we need to push in front of them all of the actual damage, which I know we're doing. So thank you, everybody. Everybody is doing such an amazing job of getting information out there. But I'm going to tell you, we do need to pay attention to the economics of this globe. And I think I need to understand more, where is the military's mindset, and will we be actually on the ground supporting Russia? Because I have a couple of pieces I want us to listen to this morning. Lagarde, from the European, whatever, I can't remember what she is. And I have her talking to, let's see, the European Central Bank. I have Lagarde talking about the world economy. And then I have something else. I can't remember now what I have. Oh, the EU people, not EU, but someone in Europe talking. Where's that clip? Talking about getting ready for a war footing. No, that's okay. Where is it? I don't know where it is. Oh, and oh God, good morning. And I was reading in the New York Times this morning, President Trump is preparing to sign an order that would instruct Secretary of Education Linda McMahon to begin dismantling the agency. which he has previously described as a big con job. Federal lawmakers would likely have to approve eliminating the department, setting the stage for a potential power struggle and another round of legal challenges from opponents. An administration official who demanded anonymity to speak about private deliberation said the order could be signed as soon as Thursday. More VA cuts. I don't know what else to tell you. I don't know what else to tell you. This is why they had to discredit people that were saying it was Russia. That's why they had to discredit Jim. That's why they had to discredit Gal. Because they were aware, as were others, of the assignment. And they knew and they saw what was happening. So it was real important to make them sound like they're crazy. Do we get it now? Do we get it? Because that's what that was all about. And there may have been stragglers along the way that just picked up the mantle of being assholes. But the core group that's behind that harassment and that attempt to shut down have an agenda. And this was part of the agenda, to make you think that the people telling you that the New World Order was actually X, Y, and Z, everybody said, that's crazy. That's Blue Anon. Bullshit. I wish it was. I wish it was. I mean, I'm not saying it doesn't give me any solace, right? Like, we still have to fucking figure this out. But God damn it, stop fucking listening to idiots who don't actually know why they even don't like people. There are people that don't like me. Like, you've never met me. You've never heard me speak. Anyway, the point is, I'm so angry that they are driving this, whatever progress we made, they are going to destroy it. It's not just going to be incompetence. It's going to be design. And it just breaks my fucking heart that we have to do this. And we're going to the moon? Why are we going to the moon? Why are we landing on the fucking moon? Why? Do you know how much that costs? 80,000 people being laid off at the VA, Jim? Is that the total number? Yeah, minerals. God damn. Wow, when we take a turn, man, we take the motherfucking turn. We drive it into the fucking earth so that it can be rebuilt in Elmo's image. Or Peter's, or David Sachs, or pick your poison. I'm not even sure they're going to keep Vladimir Putin around, to be honest with you. He's a little bit of a loose cannon, and these guys do not like loose cannons. All right, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to digress so much. We're going back to this. Let me just make sure they're not talking about... I think that's... They haven't voted yet on that. Okay, let me get rid of that. I'll just keep that going. Okay, sorry. I totally took us off track. I didn't mean to. I really didn't. Okay, this is Armed Services Committee.
We have to have more resources would be helpful, of course. But another way that we can go beyond appropriations is to really tap the power of U.S. capital markets. It's one of our strengths. So building on the authority that you all created with the Office of Strategic Capital, there's opportunities to grow the scale of investments so private capital can make larger bets in investments.
What?
On the areas of production, we've gotten the prototyping game down. I think that, but it's really now the time to trend.
That's privatizing our defense. Do you love hearing me cry every day? Good. I'm glad. I'm glad, Matthew. Well, I'm trying to help you, Matthew, so I don't know what's wrong with you. I'm here to help everybody. I'm not here to make anybody, except unless you're on the wrong side of history. You can do that. Is that Bullets? Are you Bullets? Or are you someone else? Anyway, the point is, that's privatizing the that is the privatization of the military. Yes, Eric Prince. But you know what? Come after me. That's a great idea. That's a great idea. Yeah. Anyway, that's what he's talking about.
Just in more production. And there are ways to do that through other transaction, follow-on production agreements, more buying of attritable systems.
Why does everyone, why do you spell my name Lolo?
And then finally, the area of
with a capital L
is
in the
frankly our
middle.
biggest
That's
challenge,
not right.
being able to address
you do love it?
logistics at
Good. I'm
scale.
glad.
And there we can actually do
I hope your
things like
Mima gets her
create
medicine cut off.
contract line items or CLINs that
I hope you
develop
love
surge
it when
capacity. So
when
you
your
can,
grandma
so
can't
instead of
get her
having,
insulin.
Canalize
I hope you
very
love it
limited
then.
supply runs, you can have the ability to grow that. And also second sourcing and multi-sourcing are important options to be able to create.
It's a
more
Lolo
capacity.
world order.
One final point I'd like to make is on allies and partners. Our recent experience has made it crystal clear we need a larger industrial base, engaging our closest allies, those with whom we go to war through robust
Tariffs to
industrial
finance the
partnerships
full
will help us
economy,
build
no more
overall
federal
capacity.
taxes. Whoop, whoop.
Unfortunately, time is not on our
Corporate
side.
profits
If the Davidson window is
soar.
correct, we have 2 years, and it takes a while, as this senator alluded to mobilize. The Trump administration and Congress, in partnership with industry and our allies and partners, must harness innovation, manufacturing
Boomer
capacity,
emojis.
and other means to unleash the true strength of our industrial base to deter our enemies in today's very dangerous world. The time to do this is now, before the balloon goes up. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. McGinn.
It's all right. They're
Dr.
very
McKenzie.
hurt. They're hurt, shamed alts.
Thank you, Chairman Fisher, Ranking
This is
Member
their
Reed,
problem,
and
not
distinguished
a me
members of the
problem.
committee, for the opportunity to speak with you today on defense mobilization, which is essential for our nation's
Oh,
security.
it is bullets.
The
This guy
defense
is bullets and
industrial base
barbecue.
necessary to build our DoD systems
he's
is
anti.
fragile.
He's a
But this
racist.
fragility
He talks about black crime all the time. He's very afraid of black people. Oh my God, Matthew is very afraid of black people. Ooh, he hates black people. Don't you, Matthew? Don't you? Or should I call you by your real name and tell people where you live? Oh, yes. Thank you, Max. It's Racist Tim from Pennsylvania. He's obsessed with me, you all. He likes to drink vodka out of the bottle, too. I'm going to ignore Matthew. I'm going to move him on. But I get to play with my food for a minute. Wait, first I have to get to my thing. Oh, there it is. Let's see, where are you? Where are you, darling? There you are. Knowing you're going to cry. Oh, come up with another alt. Okay, here we go.
didn't happen overnight. Key decisions by the U.S. government and industry have played a very large role. For instance, decades-long private sector and public policy approaches to domestic production prioritize low, short-term costs over security, sustainability,
My
and
milkshake
resilience.
brings all the boys to
so
the
the industrial
yard,
base
and
has
your
become
life-
optimized for
And my life
efficiency and not
is better
resiliency.
than theirs. Damn
Just-in-time
right.
deliveries versus inventories of long lead time items cut warehousing costs and increased efficiency, but limits industry's flexibility and responsiveness. And the DIB has many single and sole source suppliers due to the decades of consolidation. Often those are foreign adversarial sources that are cheaper but can introduce risk.
Women,
At OSD,
stop
I
buying
was in the
blouses at
trenches of
Kohl's.
mobilization
Okay,
efforts for
I'm
almost
sorry.
a decade.
They're doing you dirty.
I was the lead for
Do
DoD
not buy
for
this
scaling up
combination
production
anymore.
for all
I'm
of the
sorry.
weapon
I know it's
systems we were
easy. I don't
sending to
care.
Ukraine.
She's not doing you any favors.
A function I led for various crisis scenarios since 2017. I was also very involved in DoD's efforts in response to COVID-19, working with the interagency partners, using the Defense Production Authorities Jerry talked about, Titles 1, 3, and 7, to execute CARES Act funding to increase production of medical resources, including prioritization and allocation of supplies, which becomes important when we're trying to mobilize and surge, and providing financial support to DoD suppliers. As the United States is
don't
supporting
get
two
your fashion
conflicts
there,
and preparing
okay?
for
Get a
potential
Vitamix,
conflict in the Indo-Pacific region,
but
it has
not-
become clear that
not
the
a
DIB is
shirt.
not equipped to mobilize to support the existing activities, much less a competition with China. Although there are and continue to be multiple efforts aimed at mitigating shortfalls that support mobilization, there are some systemic issues and causal factors that are not being addressed. The most important of these is DoD's acquisition behavior. I'm not referring to acquisition reform here, such as different ways of doing contracting, but to the decisions that are made by the acquisition community that are the root causes of many of our supply chain issues. The industrial base is very seldom a consideration when most acquisition programs make certain decisions, such as increasing or decreasing procurement quantities, or even analysis during major milestone decisions. When mitigating supply chain issues, DoD is often treating the symptoms and not the cause. I'll highlight 2 representative examples, but there are many more I can elaborate on. The government is funding efforts to reshore and ally shore critical supply chains, and partners and allies are critical to solving this issue. However, if we don't bring demand back to those more secure sources, they will not survive. Even though DoD programs have the authority to direct sources of supply, they most often do not, letting industry choose.
They're very fragile.
Because industry is profit-driven, they will almost always choose the cheapest source, which is unfortunately often a Chinese or other adversarial source or a more secure source. DoD reinforces this behavior by choosing the lower cost proposal among technically equal options. Industry will not risk losing a contract by using a higher cost supplier, even if that supplier is more secure.
I know now with the spelling pattern.
DoD
Max,
also does not like to direct sourcing
that's
because
Bob
it shifts
who has
liability
the guy
from
who drowned
industry to
kittens
government
when he
if
was
something
younger.
goes wrong with that material or component.
That chud.
But if we
It's
are truly going to have
Bob
secure
Coxless. He spells
suppliers
my
for
name
these
like
critical
that.
items, DoD and other agencies, because DoD is often only
really
1 to 2% of the demand, should be required to use the U.S. or allied sources
He's got
when
mommy
it is
issues 'cause he
available
comes after
that meets
me.
requirements, and also to incentivize industry to use those sources with policies such as price preferences and contract selection, for instance. Another example is one of the major constraints we faced when scaling production for weapon systems for Ukraine and other crises, and something that continually plagues DoD, which is obsolescence. The way DoD deals with obsolescence is reactive and ad hoc at best. With a few exceptions, programs do not plan or budget for obsolescence, choosing instead to wait until an obsolescence issue occurs to determine a mitigation plan and scramble to find funding to execute that plan before time runs out.
Oh, butterflies.
Obsolescence was the main reason we couldn't make more Stinger and PAC-3 Patriot missiles when the Ukraine conflict started initially.
Like Lego pieces.
Acquisition program managers and even service acquisition executives have told me they can't afford to budget for obsolescence, but many studies have shown that being proactive by planning and budgeting in advance saves time and cost. Programs should be required to plan and budget to deal with obsolescence more proactively. Lastly, as we've been trying to mobilize the DIB to support various efforts, I'm often asked, why can't we do what we did in World War II as described in the book Freedom's Forge? I gave a lecture each year on mobilization to the entire class at the National Defense University's Eisenhower School, and one of the slides I always presented was, why not Freedom's Forge? Where I outlined the conditions that were very different between what was happening, and Senator Reid mentioned one of those, and what is happening now that make it impossible to replicate that scenario. I'm happy to discuss these in further detail. I'll stop there by saying I appreciate the committee's leadership and focus on the strategic topic and in helping in any way I can. I have submitted written testimony for the record, and I thank you for the opportunity to testify today, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Dr. McKenzie. Mr. Berteau, you are recognized for your opening statement.
Thank you, Senator Fisher, Senator Reid, and the committee. We really appreciate the opportunity to be here today. I am David Berteau. I'm the president and CEO of a trade association, the Professional Services Council. But I need to reflect for the record that I'm here today in my personal capacity, and the opinions and suggestions that I make today are my own and not those of my organization.
It's really interesting. There's been a few witnesses who have done that very specifically recently,
been a lot of talk
and I wonder
about
why.
The World War II example of
is it from the university testifying
and really in American
situation?
history, we've really only had 2 such examples, the other one really being the Civil War. Old as I am, I was not alive to participate in World War II as part of that process, but my experience is actually in a different segment that's already been touched on a little, and that's the Cold War, and particularly the Reagan buildup during the Cold War. I arrived at the Pentagon in 1981, served there until 1993, and was very actively involved in a number of issues there. And there's a couple of lessons that I'd like to propose to you from that period of time that may be relevant to the discussion today. The first is that we actually had an operational plan and a scenario on which we could calculate what our mobilization requirements were. It was, in fact, Soviet tanks coming through the Fulda Gap in Germany and invading Europe.
Like,
that was the driver. That was the thing that if we didn't prevail there, we'd go nuclear. And global thermonuclear war was clearly not an option we wanted to pursue, although we were prepared for that. How were we able to use that?
That's blowing
we
up
were
the
able to
planet.
build the requirements and actually secure the funding from the Congress, because we had a common agreement between the White House, the Pentagon, and the Congress as to what the threat was we were facing and what the scenarios were on which we'd have to plan and be prepared to execute. So the first thing is we had that common ground. I don't think we have that today, and I think one of the most important things this committee can do is drive us to get that common understanding of what the scenario is. We had an operational plan, which is the fight today piece, and then we had a scenario, which is how that evolves over time. We need that in place today. The second lesson, and by the way, by being able to do that, we were able to propose funding for surge capacity, for war reserve spares, for training, for sustainment investments, for
I love how these guys are just acting like life is still the same as it was.
And the appropriators
on January 19th
because it was justified and everybody agreed on the basis for it. We don't have that.
I really
today.
love that.
An example of that, in fact, is when one of the lessons from Ukraine is the multi-year procurement for expanding munitions production capacity. The Pentagon's first submission to the Congress was decremented by a lot of the extra money that was going to go into building the multi-year procurements for many of those programs, because there were higher priorities the committee had to achieve than to put those in place. Ultimately, they got fixed, but it took a long time to get agreement on that. So we have to have that agreed upon set of scenarios on which to base
requirements. That is hypernormalization.
The second thing that we learned from that Cold War experience is the best way to deter was to demonstrate, not put on paper, but demonstrate that we had the capacity to deliver that. So every year we would have massive exercises where we'd literally deploy forces from the U.S. And sustain those forces in operations in Europe. Thousands and thousands of troops from all the NATO countries combined.
Well, that's good.
Clearly showing the Soviets that we could make it work. And that demonstrated capacity, I think, is the second key lesson.
Oh, that,
the
key
third
word
key
there
lesson
is
been referred
Soviets.
to a
You're
lot here
dealing
is
with
the partnership
Putin.
with industry. And that partnership with industry is oftentimes an arm's length partnership. Dr. McKinsey did a good job of describing some of the flaws in that process. And I think that partnership has to include long-term contracts. It has to include stable design so you can maximize productions. That's one of the big advantages we actually had over Germany in World War II. Hitler and his team could not stop putting change orders into programs because new stuff would come along and they'd actually stop production in order to do it, whereas we would actually move those new ideas into the next iteration of different aircraft so we maximize production while still getting the benefits of new technology and research and development. And we did that throughout the war. The fourth lesson is the reliance on allies and partners. And Senator Reid, you mentioned Indo-PACOM and the China threat. You know, DOD uses the word the pacing challenge. I think it's actually much bigger than pacing, but it is the threat, but it's not the only threat. And I think a big difference between even the Cold War as well as World War.
I'm going to be honest, these guys are boring the fuck out of me, and they're clearly not going to talk about anything that is like legitimately worthwhile. Sorry. Let's listen to Monsieur Trudeau. Wait, let's find when Mr. Trudeau speaks, and we will listen to him. That's my French accent. Chilly fresh air, I love that. It's cold here, Val. Aren't you cold? You're probably cold, too. There he is, that sexy beast. Okay, let's see here. Make sure it's turned up.
Our child care system will continue to save parents money and give your children the best possible start in life. So with that, it is my great pleasure to introduce our Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau.
Merci, Jana. Merci à Marianne et les amis du Children's Village de nous accueillir ici ce matin. Good morning, everyone. But before I begin, I want to address what I know is top of mind for all Canadians. Yesterday, I spoke with President Trump, and I reiterated the facts. Our border is secure, and less than 1% of the illegal fentanyl entering the United States comes from Canada. Even so, we took action with our $1.3 billion plan to further strengthen our border. I also stressed that the tariffs the U.S. administration chose to impose will hurt American workers and businesses. And that, as our shared history has proven, we should work together instead to tackle today's challenges rather than fighting one another. Canada's ministers, officials, and I will continue to engage with our American counterparts. Our goal remains to get these tariffs, all tariffs, removed. In the meantime, we'll be taking action to support Canadians through the tough times ahead. You can count on leadership right across the country, municipalities, provinces, and indeed, your federal government. But mostly, you can continue to count on each other. Canadians have been there for each other, for small businesses, for local producers, for friends. Canadians will pull together and continue to pull together with deep, deep pride in country as all of us stand together to defend Canada. En même temps de faire le nécessaire pour protéger nos travailleurs et nos entreprises, on continue notre travail pour rendre la vie plus abordable pour les familles canadiennes et notre classe moyenne. Et c'est ce qui nous rassemble ici aujourd'hui. Merci de vous joindre à Myriam, Jenna, Yasser et moi pour une annonce qui est un peu un retour aux sources pour moi. Aider la classe moyenne et les familles qui en font partie, c'était au cœur des raisons pour lesquelles je me suis présenté pour servir les Canadiens en 2015. J'ai toujours pris cet engagement au sérieux, j'ai agi en conséquence et je vais continuer de le faire jusqu'à ma toute dernière seconde en tant que Premier ministre. On a lancé l'allocation canadienne pour enfants, qui a sorti des centaines de milliers d'enfants et de familles de la pauvreté.
I would say that he is
Les enfants
butterflies.
étaient une des priorités dans notre régime canadien de soins dentaires et ces enfants étaient parmi les premiers à y avoir accès. On a créé notre programme national d'alimentation scolaire qui, en plus d'aider les enfants à mieux réussir à l'école et à grandir en meilleure santé, va permettre aux parents d'économiser des centaines de dollars par année.
Which is my thing.
Et on a aussi lancé notre programme pan-canadien pour les garderies.
He's almost a little too cute, you know, like you know what I mean? Like,
now, since 2015, my focus, our focus has been on stepping up for Canadian families and the middle class.
Yeah, Trump is the uniter.
Middle-class tax cuts, with the Canada Child Benefit that has lifted hundreds of thousands of kids out of poverty, the school food program, dental care, and child care. Child care being the reason we're gathered here today. For decades in this country, people have been talking about creating a national child care system. And to be fair, sometimes governments got close, but it just never got done. Then in 2020, the pandemic showed everyone what many parents, advocates, and smart economists already knew. Childcare is not a luxury, it's a necessity. It's not just a nice-to-have social program, it's a foundational building block of a strong economy. So we worked like hell with provinces, territories, and providers, drawing on the successful experience of 25 years in Quebec to make it a reality right across the country. And it wasn't a moment too soon. In recent years, our program supported families through a cost of living crisis, and it even helped avoid a recession. Families were able to save thousands of dollars on childcare, just as global inflation and interest rates jacked up their mortgages and squeezed their family budgets hard. It's been and continues to be a game changer.
That's what makes the world go around, Val. That's what makes the world go around.
When we first committed to Canada-wide early learning and childcare, we said we would cut fees quickly and create 250,000 $10-a-day childcare spaces. We heard a lot of naysayers.
Yeah, he speaks French really well.
But today, it's hard for those folks to deny the facts. As of this year,
a rugged man with brains. Oh, fuck yeah,
new
butterflies.
affordable spaces have been created or funded, and we are on track to reach our goal of creating 100,000 more
and funny.
by this time
I like
next
funny.
year. Today, families are saving thousands of dollars thanks to this program. Per child, per year, savings can reach $6,000 in Nova Scotia, over $10,000 in Ontario, and over $13,000 in Alberta. Per child. See, this is great news, not only for parents, not only for kids, but for our entire economy. Childcare means that parents, especially mothers, can choose to fully participate in our workforce because they don't have to decide
kind of amazing.
between their career and their children.
That's kind of fucking amazing.
It helped reduce the gender wage gap.
I know.
Child
You're
poverty.
the dumbest
and
leaders.
inequality. In 2015, women were earning 84 cents on the dollar. Today, that's up to 88 cents. Still not good enough, but climbing. In 2015, over 16% of Canadians under 18 lived in poverty. Today, it's less than 10%. Again, still not enough, but it is significant progress that has not just led to better outcomes for individuals and better quality of life for people, but it's led to better economic growth for entire country. And childcare is a matter of fairness. It strengthens our economy, makes it more resilient, and that's never been as important as it is right now. Now, we can be proud of the progress we've seen since 2021, but I think all Canadians know that we can't take that progress for granted.
I'm going to stop here, only with all due respect to our beautiful, gorgeous, hot motherfucker to the north. Keep me warm, Daddy. I've got a lot of things to read, and they're very kind of timely. And so I'm going to start with this that gal just posted. This is, what is this? Reuters. Trump to revoke legal status for 240,000 Ukrainians as U.S. steps up deportations. Trump's administration is planning to revoke temporary legal status for some 240,000 Ukrainians who fled the conflict with Russia. A senior Trump official and 3 sources familiar with the matter said, potentially putting them on a fast track to deportation. The move, expected as soon as April, would be a stunning reversal of the welcome Ukrainians received under President Joe Biden's administration. The planned rollback of protections for Ukrainians was underway before Trump publicly feuded with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. That's because he's already fucking with Putin. It is part of a broader Trump. That scene in the Oval Office was an excuse to break ties with Ukraine. Period. It was concocted. I'm sick of not calling this shit what it is. It is part of a broader Trump administration effort to strip legal status from more than 1.8 million migrants allowed to enter the U.S. under temporary humanitarian parole programs launched under the Biden administration, the sources said. U.S. Department of Homeland Security spokesperson Tricia McLaughlin, quit, said the department had no announcements at this time. The White House and Ukrainian embassy did not respond. A Trump executive order issued on January 20th called for DHS to terminate all categorical parole programs. The administration plans to revoke parole for about 530,000 Cubans, Haitians, Nicaraguans, and Venezuelans as soon as this month. Okay, the Haitians who are under TPS have been here for a long time. Yeah, we did. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. As soon as this month, the Trump official and one of the sources familiar with the matter said, they're working on that 180-day. They're shoving it all in because it's too much for us to combat. And they're counting on the fact that the legal system will not support challenges to what they're doing. That's literally my view of what is happening. Oops. That's too much. Okay. Okay. The plan to revoke parole for those nationalities was first reported by CBS News. Migrants stripped of their parole status could face fast-track deportation proceedings, according to an internal ICE email seen by Reuters. Leak it all. Leak it all. Save some fucking lives. I know it's hard. I know that's asking you to take all the risk. But I hope and believe that this country would back you up if you blow the whistle on this fucking administration. God damn it. Immigrants who cross the border illegally can be put into the fast-track deportation process known as expedited removal for 2 years after they enter. But for those who entered through legal ports of entry without being officially admitted to the U.S., as with those on parole, there is no time limit on their rapid removal, the email said. Oh. The Biden programs were part of a broader effort to create temporary legal pathways to deter illegal immigration and provide humanitarian relief. In addition to the 240,000 Ukrainians fleeing the Russian invasion and the 530,000 Cubans, Haitians, Nicaraguans, and Venezuelans, these programs covered more than 70,000 Afghans escaping the Taliban takeover of Afghanistan. An additional 1 million migrants scheduled a time to cross at a legal border crossing via an app known as CBP-1. Thousands more had access to smaller programs, including family reunification parole for certain people in Latin America and the Caribbean. Trump, as a candidate, pledged to end the Biden program, saying they went beyond the bounds of U.S. law. What does that matter? The Trump administration last month paused processing immigration-related applications for people who entered the U.S. under certain Biden parole programs, placing Ukrainian Liana Aviatsan and her husband and 14-year-old daughter in limbo. Aviatsan, who works in real estate in Ukraine, now assembles windows while her husband works construction. The family fled Kyiv in May 2023, eventually buying a house in the small city of DeWitt, Iowa. Their parole and work permits expire in May. They say they spent about $4,000 in filing fees to renew their parole and try to apply for another program known as Temporary Protected Status, which is another program that he wants to eliminate. And that's where a lot of Haitians from the earthquakes and the hurricanes came into the country way back when under that TPS and are still under that TPS today. And I can only imagine that they're on the list as well. And they've built like entire lives here. Like, it's not good. Aviatsan has started getting headaches as she worries about her situation. She said, "We don't know what to do." U.S. allies from Afghanistan who entered under Biden have also been swept in under Trump's crackdown. Rafi, a former Afghan intelligence officer who asked to be identified only by his first name to protect family members still in Afghanistan, entered the U.S. legally in January 2024 using the CBP-1 mobile app at the U.S.-Mexico border. He was given a temporary humanitarian parole status that allowed him to live and work in the United States for 2 years. On February 13th, just over a year into that status, he was detained at a check-in appointment at an ICE office in Chantilly, Virginia. His status was revoked. In Afghanistan, Rafi was trained by American officers and provided intelligence on high-value targets, according to an October 2022 recommendation letter. Quote, "As a result of his active efforts against the enemy, he is currently in extreme danger and in need of assistance in departing the country," the former CIA officer who trained him wrote. Oh, wait, who's leaving? Hi, Iggy. Wait, is anyone leaving? I want to make sure I say goodbye. No. Burgers? Hamburgers? Oh, man, now I'm hungry. Okay. In the United States, the officer described Rafi as truly one of the most dedicated and hardworking individuals I had the honor to serve with in Afghanistan. Reuters reviewed the letter but was not able to reach the officer. In the United States, Rafi applied for asylum and was scheduled for a hearing before the immigration judge in April. At his February ICE check-in, one of the conditions for his temporary status, he was asked to remove his belt and shoelaces, he said. He knew immediately what was happening, he said, and still he asked, "Are you arresting me? I have broken no law." Rafi said he felt betrayed. When someone stands shoulder to shoulder with American troops and puts his life in danger, he said in a phone call from detention, his voice shaking, "I wasn't expecting this behavior from them. I wasn't expecting it." On February 24th, his lawyer wrote to ICE asking them to release her client, noting his lack of a criminal record, that he was not a flight risk and had an active asylum case related to his work supporting the U.S. military in Afghanistan. James Mullen, the assistant field office director at ICE's Washington field office, responded that ICE was declining to release him. Quote, the priorities that you mentioned in your email ended on January 20th, 2025, Mullen wrote. What? What? Who is this Mullen? James Mullen. Oh, I want to be your friend. Wow. And this is it. Okay, there is going to be an internment camp. There is an internment camp already at Guantanamo. And there are individuals being held without due process at Guantanamo. And we have no idea who they are. No one is speaking on behalf of them as a group. Come on. These are humans. Like, why are we allowing, we basically have Stalin. We have a dumb Stalin surrounded by smarter Stalins. Wow. Oh, okay. Well, that's really weird. It's really weird. I don't know. I just think that's really weird. I want to read this next. And I will link this. I archived this from Bloomberg. Oh, man. What is wrong with the sizing on this? Bloomberg, your website sucks balls. This whole thing is horrifying and so un-American. It's just so... It's so much worse than I thought it was going to be, right? I thought it was going to be incompetence and breaking things and trying to go after Social Security and trying to fuck Ukraine and I thought all those things. I did not think they would unfold in the manner they have. And they're not even done yet. They're not even a third of the way into their first 180 days. They're not even a third of the way, and look at what has happened. Yeah, we were the doomers. Yeah, and we were the doomers. We were the ones who were like, oh, that can't happen. You're a conspiracy theorist. Well, guess what? I wish I fucking was. Because it's worse. And if you don't think people are dying right now, it's just because we don't hear about them, because we have an incredibly inept press. But don't think that there aren't people dying right now. The people in USAID who have been like shit-canned, they're crying. They're like screaming for the people on the end of their grants that are now impacted by a freeze of money. Apparently, the judge didn't agree to what the timeline was for them to actually release the $1.8 billion in payments that they've withheld from USAID programs. This isn't companies. These are small programs. I don't know what to say. Like, this is the worst of it. I mean, this is not the worst of it. Sorry, that's not what I meant. I meant this is just the beginning of the worst of it. All right. Well, but back to the economy, stupid. Oops. It's the economy, stupid. Don't you know? Don't you know? Wait, where's my fucking... you know what I gotta do when I'm not doing this? I gotta work on my, like, studio thing here. Because I'm not good at, like, moving shit around. Let's see. What am I doing? Oh, that's what I'm doing. Sorry, that's, like, so weird. All right, we'll try to make it better. All right, so this is from Bloomberg. We got to win those special elections. Oh, man. I mean, I have to believe that's the only part that still will happen. You know, like, we will have elections. I choose to believe that right now. But here's unfortunately, the fucked up Cassandra in my brain is saying, you know what he's going to do, Lolo? They're gonna invoke some kind of martial law. Yeah, Doomberg. They're going to invoke some kind of martial law so that they can control more of what the resistance is. They're already going after people just for being mean to the administration. They're going after Ed Martin is writing letters. The U.S. attorney is writing letters to Congress people to tell them to clean up their Democratic Congress people, mind you, to tell them not to be mean on television. This is something that happened. A Democratic congressman got a letter from the U.S. attorney saying, don't be so mean on television. This is all everything is extortion. That is not governance. That is despotism. We don't extort states to do things just because we want them to do it. That's not the way it works. I know it's the way they insist it will work, but it is today not the way it works. And we have to resist. All right, but let's talk about the economy. It's the economy, stupid. Yeah, the options are to resist or just ignore it. And that's obeying. Ignoring the fact that this is happening is obeying. I mean, I'm just saying. Okay, let's read this Doomberg. All right. Wall Street banks say markets are flashing rising recession risk. These are the most gentle of all the pundits saying it. Base metals, small stocks signal economic angst amid trade war. Still plenty of... Okay, whatever. Yeah, we're all going to consume. I get it. Can't be too sad because capitalism, baby. Financial markets are signaling that the risk of recession is growing as tariff-related uncertainty and indicators of economic weakness spread fear across Wall Street. A model from JP Morgan Chase shows that the market implied probability of an economic downturn has climbed to 31% on Tuesday from 17% at the end of November. That's right. Global recession. Hi, Badge. How are you doing, girl? I miss you. Key indicators like 5-year treasuries and base metals, gold, silver, whatever, are showing an even higher toss-up chance of a contraction. While it's far from the base case, a similar model from Goldman Sachs also suggests recession risk is edging up at 23% from 14% in January. They're trying to act like it's not a big deal. I know people have feelings about Washington Post, but some of their journalists are actually producing very important stories that people need to know. I agree with that. I still read people's stuff. I mean, it's pretty easy to tell when you're reading an idiot and when you're not. You know what I mean? For me, it is. I if there's more facts in something, that's what I'm looking for. Feelings over facts. After a wild ride in markets Tuesday, economic sentiment is darkening as money managers and corporate executives struggle to cope with the volatility created by Trump's threatened tariffs. Trump defended his plan to remake the global trading order in his address to Congress Tuesday night, acknowledging the prospect of discomfort ahead. With softer economic... Oh, no, this is not him speaking. With softer economic activity data in the U.S. and already weaker business and consumer confidence in recent weeks, that's right, the consumer confidence went down dramatically. Mexico and China are raising the risk of an even bigger hit to business and consumer confidence going forward, said JP Morgan strategist Nikolaos Panagirtsoglou. Sorry, forgive me, Greece. In turn, this raises the specter of a U.S. recession, and markets have naturally priced in higher probability. S&P futures struggled to hold on to gains Wednesday trading after Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick hinted at tariff relief. How these guys are such great negotiators. Let me first of all tip my hand that we're gonna back down. But you didn't hear it from me, Howard Lutnick. No, you didn't hear it from me, Howard Lutnick. No, you didn't. But, just to totally derail any negotiations, I'm going to let it leak that we're probably going to back down. We're probably going to back down. Look at all the love for Badger. Badger. Recession worries are growing. Small capitalization stocks is what that. So smaller companies that are on the stock market. Bonds and base metals show higher probability of a contraction. 5-year treasuries. So this is November to March. Yep. Oh, well, base metals. They've been doing better. I noticed that gold the last couple of days with all the whatever the market kerfuffle was, gold held in there, man. Gold stayed like fucking solid as gold. Solid as a rock. Yeah, they don't want any imports, but they also want to fund the government with tariffs. How does that work? The pause in tariffs was announced yesterday is only on finished vehicles that qualify for USMCA, not relief for parts, right? How does Japan always stay out of the mess? I kind of want to hear from Japan and Australia right now. And South Korea. I kind of want to hear from them right now. You know what I mean? Like, how are you guys feeling? Hey, Australia, how are you doing? What do you think of all this? I feel like they're just like, we'll wait until you guys figure out your shit, and then we'll figure out what we're gonna do with you. Oh my God. Data this week showed U.S. factory activity last month edging closer to stagnation as orders and employment contracted. This came after reports showing consumer confidence hitting the lowest levels since 2021. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Personal spending unexpectedly decreasing and disappointing prints about the American housing market. Oh, wow. But you know what? But she laughed too much. I mean, and did she work at McDonald's? I mean, come on. Come on. Wow, good job. Insurgency and all your controlled opposition and all the stuff that you worked on over the last decade to really get us to this point. Good job, because you guys really, you won this round. That's for sure. I'm not going to give up the war yet, but you won this round. Yeah, steel and aluminum from Australia and Japan will be subject to 25% tariff next week. But have you heard anything like official from those trading partners, Lee? About like Ukraine or anything or any of that? I don't get it. Like, how can anybody be acting like this guy has any clothes on? Why are they going along with it? I don't really understand. Okay. I mean, I don't think the Congress people truly understand what he has in mind. I for some reason, I feel like they have not been read in on the plans of this administration. Does anyone else get that? I mean, probably like the Lindsays and the whoever, Chip Roy and all those shitheads, they'd probably be read in. But I don't think some of these local yokels have been read into the plan. Because that's too much to control, right? You can't control people if you have too many people that know kind of what your next move is. And that this was on purpose. Nothing. Steel and aluminum tariffs for all countries start back on 3/12/25. Okay. Thanks, Lee. Trade Representative Lee. All right. This came blah, 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 blah. Mohammed El-Erian, the president of Queen's College, Cambridge, and a Bloomberg opinion columnist, now sees a 25 to 30% chance of a recession, up from 10% at the beginning of the year. El-Erian is among a small but growing group of Wall Street worrywarts. Is that what we're calling them now? Focused on stubborn inflation pressures and the recent decline. Dude, whoever's writing this article, do you have any analysis of what this administration is planning or is doing? Because you're acting like these guys are the worrywarts. These guys are the anomaly, right? The people who worry about what's happening are the anomaly. No. The anomaly is what the United States government is doing to the global economy. That's the anomaly. That's what's not real. I mean, not normal. Not the worrywarts. They're reading the tea leaves. So fuck you, Bloomberg, which, of course, fuck you, Bloomberg, but, you know. And I went around your paywall, Bloomberg, so fuck yourselves. Eat the rich. JP Morgan calculates the prospect of a recession by comparing the pre-recession peaks of various classes and their troughs during an economic contraction. By this metric, the prices of 5-year treasuries, base metals, and small stocks now suggest a recession probability of about 50%. Still, the investment-grade credit market suggests the chance remains low at 8%, though that's higher than effectively zero at the end of November. Top-notch rant. Thank you. This is about Ukraine funding being frozen the night before the Oval Office meeting. Oh, wait, what's that? Where's that? Let's see. The Goldman model is based on multiple cross-asset indicators, including credit spreads and the CBOE volatility index, which is commodities, rather. One metric tracking expectations in the futures market and on the Fed's benchmark rate in 12 months' time suggests a 46% likelihood of an economic contraction, aka a recession. The largest shifts have been in the pricing of Fed cuts and the yield curve. I also haven't heard from Jerome Powell, really lately. We heard from him at the end of the year, but we haven't heard from him this week. So where's Jerome Powell, the head of the Fed? Okay. The largest shifts have been in the pricing of Fed cuts and the yield curve, which tends to indicate latent recession risk, said Christian Muller-Glissman, head of asset allocation research for Goldman Sachs, said in an email. There's also been a pickup in the VIX, which tends to spike around recessions and is more of a coincident indicator. I saw the VIX on the financial stuff that I was looking on. Hold on. Because I was just watching the markets in one place while we were, doing shit. And so I just pulled up, unfortunately, Google Finance. Because it just has quick. See, this is the VIX. And I noticed it was in the green the last few days as well, even though everything else was down. So U.S. markets are down, not very much, just less than a percentage. The Russell 5000 is down 1 percentage point. That's just more stocks. Europe, it looks like the Germans are up, London's down, French are up. I don't know. Is that Spain? I think that's Spain. I don't know what that is. That might be a German thing. The Nikkei is up. I don't know what that one is. I think that's Hong Kong. So that's all. Asia markets are up. All right. So the US dollar has been down the last few days too, and it continues to go down. So the US dollar is losing value against other currencies. Oops. Now the pound is, oopsie, sorry. Crypto, all the cryptos are up. Oh, Cardano's down 4%. That's kind of a big dip. But they're all up relatively small amounts. And then the futures. I was watching this because crude oil has been in the red the last couple days too. Crude oil's been going down. This is the first time I've seen gold go down in the last couple days. And then these are all down by very small amounts. So I don't think the market has actually absorbed what's happening. I really don't. I'm fascinated to see what market people do with this market. Every day is April 1st. Hey, you are a bunch of fools. I did have this. I kind of wanted to listen to Lagarde. Because first of all, she's wearing the most amazing scarf. There's that. But she's pretty fucking smart. I don't know what she's talking about, so I apologize. But I just want to see if we can listen in a little bit and see if she says anything, since we're on the economics thing.
Thank you very much for your two questions. So on your first question, you very well noted that we have changed the wording of the fourth paragraph of our monetary policy statement. So let me try to explain what it means, because it's not just an innocuous little change. It's a change that has a certain meaning. What we had previously was that we would keep our restrictive monetary policy as long as was necessary, etc. And that was very much a static assessment of what was needed. We are now moving, by having our monetary policy is becoming meaningfully less restrictive, to a more evolutionary approach. So in other words, we take account of the journey that we have traveled, 150 basis points since we started cutting. And we acknowledge the fact that, as a result, it is becoming meaningfully less restrictive. We add to that in the same paragraph the two forces that we are seeing operating on our financing conditions. And the first one, if you will, is the I used a comparison a few weeks ago when we were at the G20 in South Africa, and I used a comparison of the Cape of Good Hope, where you have warm water from the Indian Ocean and the cold water from the Atlantic. And this is really where the position is at the moment, where we have the impact of the current monetary policy decisions that we take and have been taking, which is to cut rates. But at the same time, we still have the cold water of the Atlantic, meaning the remaining effects of decisions that we have taken over the course of time. And that's really where we are at the moment, and that has led us to acknowledge the fact that our measures, that our monetary policy is becoming meaningfully less restrictive. So you asked me the second question, which has to do with most recent development. And I have to say that we have not been spared recent developments in the last few hours and days. And the one that you're referring to is the announcement by the European Commission, on the one hand, of this 800 billion comprising the 150 borrowing facility and the 650 space within which member states can borrow for defense purposes, on the one hand. And on the other hand, the announcement by the German authorities of a twofold program, in a way, one which is the big infrastructure financing of 500 billion over a period of 10 years, and a special measure that relates to defense expenditure that would be decided
Europe is arming themselves.
So 2 observations. One is, this is work in progress. And we have to be attentive, vigilant. We have to understand how this is going to work, what the timing will be, what the financing will be, so that we can then draw the conclusions and appreciate how much it will contribute to growth and what impact it would have eventually on inflation. So that part of the work we have not yet, of course, determined the conclusion. But one thing that around the table of the Governing Council was clear is that on both accounts, that would be supportive to European growth at large and would be a boost to the European economy. Now, everything is going to be a factor of the details. You know, where will the purchases take place? What will the timing be? What will the financing be? And all of those are, you know, obviously political decisions that are not within the remit of the central bank. But we are very attentive to what will come out of today's meeting in Brussels and further development on the German political scene to appreciate the economic consequences. Thank you.
Next question goes to Annette Weisbach of CNBC. Annette, please.
Madame Lagarde, I have another question on the meaningfully less restrictive monetary policy stance. Perhaps you can explain that to us. Lending is still down. So what makes you think, the ECB think that the monetary policy stance is actually less restrictive? Because it seems that companies are still holding back to actually borrow and invest. So my second question would be, on the pause, which is likely or not in April, given the uncertainties, would you rather wait for more wage data coming in as domestic inflation seems to be stubbornly high? Thank you.
But thank you so much for your question.
She is so sexy. This woman, Christine Lagarde, I find her incredibly attractive.
Based on the numbers that we receive, based on the corporate survey that we hold, and comparing the current situation with the last few quarters, and this month versus last month as well, indicate that lending is actually increasing.
Okay, well, this is European-centric, so I'm sorry, Christine, I have to leave you. Because you're talking about European lending within the private sector, and I wanted to hear you talk about what you just did talk about, which is how governments are going to be able to work with the European Central Bank to finance the defense that they need to now mount because we fucking left them hanging. Literally. So, all right, I'll link that as well so you can get the full European Central Bank for you nerds that are going to want it. But I want to go on to a couple of other things. Let me check and see if there is. Why did it do that? Let me see if there's. Well, there's a couple things. I have a couple things to read, or one thing to read. Let me just check the live broadcast to make sure we're not missing anything. Do 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 do. All right, that's good. I don't think it's like crazy. Crazy, crazy. I'm a crazy, you're crazy. We're all crazy together. All right, I think, yeah, okay. Just wanted to make sure I wasn't missing something incredibly importante. All right, this is from our beautiful friend Gal, Populism and Proxy Wars. Turning our sights now to domestic matters. Thank you, Europe and Canada, for letting us know what you're up to. Nexus Institute, December 2017 conference, The Last Revolution. Alexander Dugin, Leon Wieseltier, Nelofer Pazira, and Antony Blinken. Really? To get a sense of the populist America First movement, you need only to hear from their influences. And this one is, they censured Al Green. Oh, thank you, Pepper. Wait, hold on. We'll go to that. I want to. Wow. On Twitter or Blue Sky? Where'd you transmit? Oh, Twitter. Okay. Twitter. It's Twitter. Do. Twitter. La 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 la. La 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 la. Oh, Mike Johnson bangs the gavel. Oh, well, this is going to be good, and I'm going to be singing this song now.
That Representative Al Green forthwith present himself in the well of the House of Representatives for the pronouncement of censure, and that Representative Al Green be censured with public reading of this resolution by the Speaker.
Mike Johnson, get trapped. I hope he traps his Johnson in his zipper.
The House has come to order. The House has come to order. What's it?
What am I supposed to say?
You want to let him keep doing this, or totally fair?
What?
The House has come to order. Clear the well, please. Clear the well. The House has to continue its business.
It has no business. The Republicans.
Pursuant to Clause 12A of Rule 1, the House will stand in recess subject to the call of the chair.
Because I can't handle this. I can't handle it. I can't handle. Wait, here we go. Here's my Al Green.
Listen, everybody. Wait, I have to tell you something, okay? Because I got to tell you something right now, okay? Because when I was standing in this place where I'm standing now, and it was a couple nights ago, and if you remember, I was trying to really keep everybody, like, together and, like, quiet and stuff. And if you remember, then this man, he started screaming, and then he stood up. He screamed, he stood up, and then, oh my God, you guys, you know what else he did? He pointed his cane at me. I think he was gonna hit me with it. I think he really was. No, I was really scared. I was super scared. And so my voice was quivering a little bit. And I said, whatever that guy of the Senate is, You know, like, who's the captain at arms? Whoever has the arms, can you come get this guy because he's scaring me? And I don't want to be scared. I have a job to do, and it took me a lot to get this job. And I still have a sore throat. But that's not the problem. What the problem is that man was so scary. And then when I got my friends to agree that he was really, 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 really scary, then when I got my friends to agree, then his friends, right, stood up and started singing. And they started singing, and I was banging my gavel, and they wouldn't stop singing. And it made me look, and they sang a song that was from the civil rights era, so it made me look really bad. Anyway. And I'm Mike Little Johnson. Bye!
Decorum! 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 If they do it out in the open, imagine what is done in the shadows. Oh, Carla. Oh. Oh. Ho, ho, hody, ho, ho. Thank you, Pep, for sharing that. I can't fucking believe that. I still have a sore throat. I know. Sometimes I just use like, what is the most thing that will make them mad? And that's what I go for. And it usually involves sex or poop. That's a me problem. I get it. Turkey is asking to get in the new NATO minus USA. What? Go fuck yourself, Turkey. Okay? Just go fuck yourself. Erdogan, just go fuck yourself. NATO, don't do it. Don't do it, NATO. Don't do it. Don't do it. I don't know. I don't like Erdogan. The Turkish people are wonderful. I wouldn't want them to be suffering from anything, but all right. Here we go. Let's see. This is what I want, I think. Okay, so now for my next trick. This is another one that came from Gal. Secretive DC influence project appears to be running a group house for right-wing lawmakers. Isn't this Opus Dei? Is this the Opus Dei shit? Right? Because we heard about this. Yeah, this is a decorum as an Opus Dei. Decorum. Wait.
In nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti.
Wait, Turkey's already in NATO? Oh, they're not? I don't even know. I don't know. Are we being kicked out of NATO? I mean, I wouldn't be shocked. I think that's probably a given at this point. Really? I mean, we've basically declared war on NATO, so it's not like they're going to say, oh yeah, you're still part. No, come on, the barbecue's in 10 minutes. They're not going to do that. According to the NATO website, Turkey's a member. Oh, okay. Well, then what do they want? They just want to kick us out? Well, again, I can't blame them. Secretive DC influence project, blah, blah, blah. This is a evangelical pastor Steve Berger's political influence campaign. Is that what we're calling it now? Operates out of his DC townhouse, in addition to House Speaker. How do these people make money? I've always struggled to live wherever I live. I've always been paycheck to paycheck. I've always been like struggle bus. In addition to House Speaker Mike Johnson living there. What? Wait, what? A prominent Trump ally, Randy Ogles, has the keys. These boys are very strange. I think they should just embrace the kink. Okay? Just embrace the kink. It's fine. It's not a problem. If you want to have group orgies and talk to people about, internment camps and get all excited, do it on your own time. For a project explicitly designed to influence Congress, Steve Berger's operation has left a scant paper trail. The arch-conservative evangelical pastor, who started a D.C. nonprofit a few years ago to shape national policy, does not file lobbying reports. Oh. His group does not show up in campaign finance records. Oh, that doesn't seem legal. There's a simple way to glimpse his efforts expanding reach in Washington, however. Pay attention to who is walking out the front door of his Capitol Hill townhouse. New evidence suggests Berger may be running what amounts to a group house for conservative lawmakers, with multiple members of Congress living with him at his organization's headquarters. The 6-bedroom, $3.7 million home is owned by a multi-million-dollar Republican donor. Rep. Andy Ogles, a Tennessee Republican who is among President Dump's most aggressive allies in Congress, has been at the house on multiple days over the past 2 weeks, according to people who live in the area. Video reviewed by ProPublica showed Ogles leaving the townhouse with bags on February 27th. As he left, he locked up the front door and pocketed the keys to the house. As ProPublica reported last week, House Speaker Mike Johnson is living in the townhouse. And Dan, where's his wife? Oh, I mean, I guess this is just like when he's in town kind of thing. And Dan Bishop, a former congressman from North Carolina, now nominated for a powerful post in Trump's White House, appears to have lived there until recently as well. Berger has said his goal is to disciple members of Congress so what they learn is then translated into policy. He is claimed to have personally spurred legislation, saying a senator privately credited him with inspiring a bill. That's right. We're the best. We're number one. Yeah, that was something that came up in ProPublica today. Let me just see. Hold on. What's this? We're taking a close. Know your value, an empty promise. Steve Ratner fact checks Trump's address. I'm not sure I want to watch that. I just don't want to see anything about the speech. Is that wrong? All right, let me see what else we've got here. I guess I didn't have as much as I thought I did for this morning. They have a really good Covenant Eyes group. Oh, yes, that's right. Covenant Eyes. She's got Covenant Eyes. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. Turkey finally reading the writing on the wall, you think? I thought Erdogan was friends with Putin. Am I wrong about that? I thought he was friends with Putin. I don't know. Okay, let me see. Oh, I know. I had some stuff here. Sorry. I have stuff in different places and it makes it really hard, which is a me problem, not a you problem. Okay, so I'm going to play this. Oh, wow. Okay. I get it. Now, this was interesting. I haven't listened to this yet, but this I found this morning as I was searching for what I wanted to cover. Well, actually, last night I shared some stuff, or I clipped some stuff. Anyway, this is fucking Larry Summers. Paul Langan, I just shared a gift article on X Journalism Community Group shared with Lolo. Okay, great. I'll take a look for that. I would think Turkey would play both sides. I mean, Erdogan. I think of Erdogan. I'm not saying Turkey is in the entire country. Turkey, as in the entire country. Okay, let me check X just to tee things up. But then I want to listen to Larry Summers, of all people, talk. Yes, I did read some of this, but I'm going to thank you for this because I'll pull up the latest. Thank you, Paul Langan. I know. Yeah. Yeah, order to close the education department would push the limit of executive power. That's what we read this morning, that there might be. Okay, so this is more economy news, but I feel like it's interesting to be a little bit aware of what's happening. Anyway, this is 13 minutes, and it's it's on the economy. So here we go.
These tariffs are a self-inflicted supply shock wound. Higher prices, less competitiveness because businesses are having to pay more for all their inputs. And because they have to pay higher prices, less purchasing power for consumers, which means fewer jobs down the road. So these are like an oil price shock. They're just all bad for the economy. And they're probably they probably were like an oil price shock of $40 a barrel in terms of what was being done to Mexico and Canada. And now with these changes, maybe it's only $25 or $30 a barrel, but it's still clear, big, and bad. That's why before they started saying they were going to take the tariffs off, almost $2 trillion of stock market wealth had been destroyed in a matter of 2 days. Now nobody knows quite what's going to happen, but why would you make an important investment decision amidst all of this uncertainty? If you were thinking about buying a new car or buying a new house, wouldn't you wait? And when everybody waits, the economy slows down, and that's why the risk of recession, which everybody thought was extremely unlikely on January 20th, is now seen by many, many people as a real and serious risk for some time.
Hey, Larry, do you think it's on purpose?
This year. So I think we're doing real damage to the economy. It's not just a short-run thing. Inflation expectations for the long term, for 5 or 10 years, are higher than they've been in a very long time, according to the Michigan survey. You know, I heard the president talk about a little disturbance, and I heard the senator talk about that. A little disturbance that we'll work through, and then it will be good. You know what that sounds like? It sounds like transitory inflation. Transitory inflation didn't work out very well for the people who used that term in 2021.
Larry, what if it's on purpose?
It didn't work out very well for the Biden administration. It didn't work out very well for the Fed. And I don't think talking about how inflation is transitory is going to work out very well for the Trump administration either. So I hope they'll respond to the market signals, and that they'll find a way to save face. And they'll back off all of this stuff. That would be what would be best for the country. But I really do worry about the sense that we're becoming, the president calls this CEO, calls that CEO, that we're becoming a bit of a crony capitalism kind of country when you see that the Doge seems to be talking about recontracting things towards the Starlink company, when you see that law firms that represented parties adverse.
Thank you, Larry. You reminded me of something. Did you see the part where Musk would like Starlink to be the base program for the FAA? And then you discover that their Starlink system, or whatever engineering they already have on their Starlink, isn't powerful enough. Isn't powerful enough. They're buying the government. This is the privatization. I don't know what to do about it. I'm so sorry. I wish I knew. So the guy speaking is Larry Summers, for those of you who don't know. He's an economist, and he served as the Secretary of Treasury from, 99 to 2001. President of Harvard University from 2001 to 2006. Let's see. Where is he? Who else did he? He's on the board of OpenAI. I mean, this guy is a capitalist, okay? He's a fucking capitalist. And he's not really, I mean, I guess he is a Democrat. I'm not really sure. But he doesn't, he's being very alarmist for Larry. He's being very alarmist. So this is Larry, yeah, exactly. Larry Summers is really, he's not This is him being excited. Oh my God. How will the history books treat Elmo? Here we go. Thank you. Larry, continue, please.
To the president are having all their clients penalized across the administration. This is the Argentine way, not the American way. And I think there's a substantial risk that it'll have costs.
Hey, Paul J.
What's really sad to me about all this is there's a lot of truth in things that the president's trying to do. There is waste in the way the federal government does
Jared
technology,
Moskowitz?
and it should be fixed by people with more expertise than long-term government employees. There have been huge problems in the way we have protected our borders. We've emphasized too much things other than excellence in hiring workers for too long. We've had too much regulation that has slowed things down too much and made it expensive to build things. Sometimes other countries have taken advantage of the United States. And so there are impulses here.
Sorry, cloudy weather. Can't
right.
fly today.
But if you
That's okay.
do things too impulsively, too quickly, too carelessly, and with too many conflicts of interest where the people who are advising you are also the people who are profiting
How did we ignore extrajudicial killings all these years?
With
How
our
did we
economic
not
system.
stop the CIA? You know, like,
so, Mr.
there's so many
Secretary,
questions.
You just said a lot that we can unpack here. When it comes to tariffs, we read you. What will be the economic impact of the DOGE? Because that's bringing an enormous amount of confusion as well. Hesitancy to hire is the headline on the ADP jobs report today. Elon Musk is on Capitol Hill meeting with members of the House and Senate right now, presumably to connect the dots between what the DOGE is finding and some form of legislation that will be leading its way to a budget. But the fog that's coming from DOGE with the wall of receipts, some of the claims that have not turned out to be true, the gutting of the IRS means what for our economy?
I think it means more chaos, higher prices, and probably next to no progress on the government deficit. Look, the IRS needs more workers, not fewer. In one recent 3-year period, there were 100 people who had incomes over $10 million who didn't even get their returns audited in any way when they didn't file any return at all. So, yeah, we got to work on the IRS. But when we go cutting the air traffic safety systems, when we go slashing thousands of people whose job it is to enforce the tax law and to man the helplines, and we do it on an impulse and a few hours study by a person with no past experience in government, gee, I think that's dangerous. And that's the American part of it for the economy. That's probably what's most important to Americans. I have to say that when I read that the United States has for decades, since President Bush, who was certainly no fiery liberal, put in place a program to build goodwill for the United States by providing medicines for AIDS and other diseases that has saved millions of lives, saved more than 1 million lives per year. When I see that medicine from that program has just been ruthlessly cut off, despite congressional approval, with no protection or careful thought, and that people are dying because the United States just decided to go do a bunch of experiments like it was a business being restructured, that scares me. So I think this is going to be pretty serious for our economy. And look, President Trump is someone who has, in the past at least, always when the stock market went up, he was always linking it to what he did. And we couldn't have had clearer evidence over the last couple days that when he's pursuing the policies about which he's enthusiastic, the market is plummeting. And when he's reversing course, the market is rallying.
Yeah.
And I hope that'll be a lesson on many aspects of the broad approach.
Well, it also is creating an interesting split screen, Mr. Secretary, because as we have the conversation here about the rattling of U.S. equity markets, everything you just talked about in terms of what potentially could be happening in the U.S. economy, you are seeing a flood of capital into Europe as Germany is now signaling they're going to have a whatever it takes approach to increase spending. We've seen a flood into European equities, obviously massive action in the bond market today. Is this the end potentially of U.S. exceptionalism?
I think it would be premature to say on the basis of anything that happened in a few days or even a few weeks that it was the end of U.S. exceptionalism. But I will say this, I think the broad approach we are taking to the rest of the world represents the biggest threat to the U.S. dollar's role as the central currency in the world economy that we've had in the last 5 decades. And if I were still sitting at the Treasury Department, I would be terrified about the consequences of the kind of rhetoric that the president is engaging in vis-a-vis other countries. I would be alarmed by the way in which China and Europe were being magnets for capital as people rushed out of dollars, were increasingly allying with each other because they had both been alienated from us. And knowing that I was going to have trillions and trillions of dollars that I had to place, and that I was part of an administration that was going to raise substantially the scale of the national debt with these new ideas like not taxing overtime or not taxing tips and extending the tax cuts for businesses and the wealthy in a massive way, so that we were looking at budget deficits that could easily exceed $2 trillion a year. I had to place all that debt when the president was calling out and yelling and complaining about all the countries that were traditionally the biggest buyers of the debt. And the president was saying that anything was legal as long as it was working for the survival of the country, and he wanted to do it. I'd be hugely alarmed about the role of the dollar in our system, and I'd be doing everything I could to try to persuade the president to change course. In fairness, I wouldn't be doing it publicly. I'd be doing it behind closed doors. But we have a Treasury Secretary whose principal comment on the president has been to suggest that he should win a Nobel Prize for his appeasement of President Putin. So I think we have a really serious set of issues that may loom. There's time to change. There's time to change course. There's time to eliminate these kinds of tariffs. There's time to try to draw on the expertise in the Doge in more responsible ways. And
Larry,
if that happens,
come on, Larry.
I think things could work out well. Come on. But gosh, we're looking at some risks and uncertainties of a kind we haven't seen before. Wall Street, as you know better than I, because you report on it all the time, has this thing, the VIX, the so-called fear gauge.
That's the VIX.
It went up by almost 50%.
That's the VIX.
In a matter of a couple days. because of the things that were being said. So I just hope that we can all take a deep breath, that we can recognize that there are plenty of real problems that need to be addressed.
What if it's the plan?
President in his campaign identified some important directions in which.
Okay, yeah, now you're just pontificating and appeasing the other side just so that you don't have to. Yeah, I'm sorry. You know, like, first of all, I don't know why. Thank you, Pepper, for putting the list of Democrats who voted to censure Al Green, which is fucking ridiculous. The head of so Jeffrey said no protests? Come on. What's going on here? Has he made a deal? I hate to say that. I don't want to say that. I really like Hakeem Jeffries, but I sense a failure of leadership right now. And yeah, I get Larry Summers is really slurry. I'm sure he's having problems with his dentures. But boy, that was a really important conversation. And I'll share this link so that you can share this particular video. I think this is a great video for people to understand what is happening with the economy and why this is actually so incredibly bad. 100% that statement is unfolding. Oh, Carla, Janie, I misspelled Kenzie Orr. Organized crime masquerading as a government. Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I don't think so. Yeah, Larry hasn't. I mean, of course, Larry's probably well tapped into the international. Oh, Larry, you look terrible when you do that. Hold on. I'm so sad. Okay, I'm not really that sad. No, I don't want to watch that. Wait, where's my? Yeah, he's correct. Whistle sounding a bit. Yeah, I mean, the thing is it is what it is, right? You know, like, but here's my point. My point is what I shared this morning. The U.S. created less jobs in February of 2025 than at any point since February of 2009. So it's not even the pundits and the former Treasury secretaries talking about doom. From an economic standpoint, inflation, high prices, low wages, low unemployment, things like that. That's what we're talking about. It's the actual data and actions that are now starting to come out that indicate that this is completely the wrong direction. So why? Ask yourself, and I really want a journalist to ask this, why do you think the Trump administration is taking these steps? Why? What is your view as what would be the justification for this to happen? I want to go back because there was a couple of first of all, U.S. exceptionalism is stupid. There was no American dream. It was always a Ponzi scheme where you were going to have a burgeoning and quickly expanding divide between a wealth gap. So that's just a bunch of bullshit. They rig the system, okay? So the American dream is ridiculous. Move on. Rabid Doge. I like that. Rabid doggies. Yeah, the guy that crashed the value of Twitter and Tesla is shitting. The king of bankruptcy are running us into the ground. Yep. Why would Democrats vote for their colleagues' censure? Exactly. The people who voted: Amy Barra, Ed Case, Jim Costa, Laura Gillen, Jim Himes, Chrissy Houlihan, Marcy Kaptur, Jared Moskowitz, Marie Glusenkamp, Perez, and Tom Suozzi. I'm disappointed. I do not understand it. In 2009, they had to implement a 6 or 12-month extension for unemployment benefits. It was so bad. That's right. I know, Moskowitz. Why did he do that? Just for the heck of it, I found a video of Summers from 2002. He spoke much clearer back then. Yeah, well, I think it's definitely a dentures thing. Yeah, Sarah Kendzior wrote about this, the organized crime masquerading as a government. I agree. The Guardian, SB is reporting, federal workers block Musk's doggy team from shutting down Africa Development Agency. U.S. African Development Foundation staff barred entry to efficiency agency. Define Trump shutdown order. Where's that? Let me find that. Which agency was it? Africa. There it is. 29 minutes ago. Because we got the hot news. Hot news. Hot news for you. Yeah. Welcome to Hot News. I'm Lolo, your hot news reporter. Hey, guys. Breaking news. Because he's an active measure? I don't know. I have no idea. Who knows? Who the hell knows? I don't understand it, though. I think it's kind of shitty behavior. If you work your ass off for 50 years to be a faceless corporation, you can retire when you're 70 and spend your summers in the Bahamas. That's right. That's right. All right. Thank you, SB, for this breaking news. Federal workers block Musk's doggy from shutting down Africa Development Agency. U.S. African Development Foundation staff barred entry to the efficiency agency. Define a shutdown order. Yes. Oh, there's Nadine. She's a really big activist in D.C. Members of Elon Musk's more to the left. Wait, what does that mean? What does that mean? I support them too, because what else can we do? We can try and influence them. Well, more to the left, yeah. Here we go. Member of Elon Musk's doggy unit were barred from entering a U.S. government agency promoting economic development in Africa after a tense standoff with federal staff. Brave souls. They had been sent to fire. Workers at the U.S. African Development Foundation, which Donald Trump has ordered to be closed, refused to allow doggy operatives to enter after they arrived at its Washington headquarters Wednesday afternoon. The incident was the latest case of resistance to attempts driven by Trump and Dumpin' Musk. Dumpin' Husk to slash the federal workforce by gutting and closing agencies and laying off federal employees. Scores of legal challenges have been lodged against the sweeping project to upend the government bureaucracy, producing a spate of court rulings declaring the halting of aid illegal and ordering the reinstatement of fired federal workers, except for the top government watchdog, who they ruled, I guess SCOTUS ruled that I think it was, am I getting this right? That SCOTUS ruled that Hollerman, or what? Why can't I remember his name? The gentleman who was the top IG, not able to go back to work while they adjudicated, I guess. I better get that story. I'm so sorry. I should be less cavalier about that. Let's see. Scores of legal challenges, blah, blah, blah. In Wednesday's episode, workers instructed a security guard at USADF's headquarters to deny the doggy team access when they arrived, accompanied by Pete Morocco. Pete Morocco. Ask Gal about Pete Morocco. Ask, I think, Tina or Clay. I'm not sure. Iggy, who has the skinny on Pete Morocco in the Gal squad? Fired, rehired, supported by one court, overturned by another. Fired and court upheld. Yeah. Okay. So it's actually the firing. It's not even more adjudication. Okay. So it's worse than I thought, actually. Okay. Cal and Tina. Thank you. You and Tina. Yep. I thought Tina was in that mix somewhere with Pete Morocco. So Tina knows. Gal knows. All right, here we go. Blah, blah, blah. Where am I? Okay, what am I? The acting director of the now shuttered USAID, which is really fitting that Pete Morocco is director of nothing. That's really that's the title I'm giving Pete Morocco, director of nothing. Director of D's Nuts. Director of D's Nuts. That's what he is. Yeah. Staff cited. Dump is now trying to install him in a similar role, director of nothing, at USADF. Staff side, and so he brought some doggy people with him to get the mean employees to let him in. Pete, you're about to get the baby voice treatment. You know that? Girl. Staff cited a letter by the agency's chair, Ward Brem, who was not present at the time, to Doggy the previous day, making clear that it would not be allowed to enter in his absence. Quote, in my absence, I have specifically instructed the staff at USADF to adhere to our rules and procedure of not allowing any meetings of this type without my presence, he wrote, according to The Hill, which obtained a copy of the letter. Brem also declined to cooperate with Morocco, director of nothing, unless he was officially appointed to the agency's board. I will look forward to working with Mr. Director of Nothing after such time that he is nominated for a seat on the board and his nomination is confirmed by the Senate, Brem wrote. Slow it down, slow up the works. There's resistance. Slow it, make it hard for them to take the power. Very brave. Thank you, Mr. Brem. I really appreciate you and your incredible staff. Until these legal requirements are met, Mr. Director of Nothing does not hold any position or office with USADF, and he may not speak or act on the foundation's behalf. About 30 workers were in the building when Director of Nothing arrived with a doggy team described as young men wearing backpacks. Those are the new, are those the new hoods? Intent on carrying out firings based on an executive order issued by Dump on February 19th, the Washington Post reported. Dump's order declared USADF and 3 other agencies the Presidio Trust. That makes me cry. I grew up in the Bay Area. The Inter-American Foundation and the United States Institute of Peace as unnecessary and subject to elimination. Wednesday's standoff followed a similar exchange at the IAF's headquarters earlier this week. The workers' defiant stand comes after Democrats publicly condemned the attempted dismantling of the agency as illegal. Quote, any attempt to unilaterally dismantle the USADF through executive action violates the law and exceeds the constitutional limits of executive authority, Democratic members of the House of Representatives Foreign Affairs Committee wrote in a February 24th letter to Dump. A USADF official told the Washington Post the terms of its governing statute meant that it did not have to take orders from the Director of Nothing. It's explicit in the statute that the agency can only be dissolved by an act of Congress, and the president can only be hired and fired by the board, the official said. The agency was created by Congress in 1980 to support small businesses and grassroots organizations serving marginalized communities in Africa. Between 2019 and 2023, it handed out grants worth about $141 million to 1,050 community enterprises serving 6.2 million people. And there's data to back those numbers up. Let me tell you, as someone who's had to curate those numbers and make sure and report on them, they're not going to say this unless there isn't fucking data to the person that they served or reached with their efforts. Period. That's actually return on investment. If you want to be hard ass about it, what the fuck? Let me see if there's anything. I think that's it for my big thing. My big thing. Yeah. Wait, let me just check one thing. This woman answered my thing about Jared Moskowitz because I tagged Jared Moskowitz in a what the fuck post on X. And this woman says, he's good at running his mouth, good with the snark, but push comes to shove, pussy. You're right, Connie. God dang it. Let's just get mad. I'm going to get mad. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my God. Yeah, General Flynn. General failure, Mike Flynn. As a former Democrat, here's my message to the Democrat Party. Here's my message to you. You were never a Democrat, you stupid fucking traitor. You stupid fucking... Somebody needs to check his hard drive. Makes me mad. I'm just kidding. Actually, I'm not, because there's probably some data on there that we need. Go, Connie. Go, Connie. Go, 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 Connie. Tell it like it is, Connie. Get down with your bad self, Connie. Oh, my gosh. All right. Well, I think that's it for this morning. I feel like these days might become twice baked days. It seems like there's things happening. What is today? Thursday? Okay. So tonight is Rad Pod at 7 Pacific, 10 Eastern. Honorary. Yeah, Connie is definitely an honorary lounger. Connie, come on over. She's not listening. She doesn't know I have a show. Yeah, that's fine. Oh my gosh. Thank you guys for coming this morning. Sorry I was a little bit late. But that was a lot. There's a lot that happened this morning. So I think I'm going to have to, tonight is not movie night. Tomorrow night is movie night. We have to pick, I know I'm going to pick one of Max's wonderful movies for the second feature. I haven't picked the first feature. Do we have ideas for a fun movie for tomorrow night? Anybody have any ideas of things they would want to watch in Discord? A comedy, yes. We need to do a comedy. Yes. Yes. You know what? I could pick a movie. Superman. Aha, a free evening. Whoop, whoop. A free evening. Neil. What? Is the clubhouse too active? I feel like our Discord is like a clubhouse. Hey, what are you doing? Oh, I'm over here. I know, baby. It's all right. It's a perfect. It's a good tease. It's a good tease. Yikes, Mikes. I am sorry, Representative Al Green. You are one of the most amazing people on the planet. He was sick, you know. He was just recently sick and came back for a vote right after doing chemotherapy or something. It is like a dorm room floor. Oh my God, Jane, that's kind of what I feel like it's becoming. I think you're right. I just love going in there and then there's 4 or 5 things people have dropped in. It's really good. Intentional or unintentional comedy. I'll take either, Max. I'll take either. If you have ideas, girl, you say them. Yeah, Al Green's one of the real ones. The Democrats have to learn how to be rabble-rousing protesters. I think so. What happens to a good old sit-in? What about that? Why can't we do a good old sit-in? I did watch Step Brothers. I think that's a funny movie. I don't know if people are offended by it, but I think it's pretty funny. I love Will Ferrell. Oh, what about this? What about this? Old School. What about that? Could we watch Old School? Is that too offensive to people if they don't like that kind of humor? And then watch a Max Flower production for After Dark Film Festival selection. I love Old School. Oh, gosh. Okay, let me know. You don't know? Let me know. Hundreds of Beavers was good. Hundreds of Beavers? I fucking love it. Oh my God. It's a real movie. Holy shit. What? 2022 American Independent Slapstick Comedy Film. Okay, this sounds pretty funny. Old School's great. Speaking of frats and dorms, yeah, true. But Artie, I like this. Okay, I'm in. It's on Tubi too, so it's free. It's on you can watch it in a lot of places. Oh my God, that's what we're going to do. Hundreds of Beavers, and then I'll pick one of the movies, Max, that you put up for the old movie. You remember it? I don't remember this. I feel like I'm so out of it. Oh, and it's on Amazon Prime for free, and Pluto and Tubi. So there's 3 free accesses to it. I'm still hunting. Well, let's do it. That sounds like a great one. Max, Man, you are literally the Roger Ebert of the lounge, or Gene Siskel, whichever one you would want to be. But I'm going to tell you right now, Max is the curator of the film archive. The lead actor is hunky and often shirtless. Fantastic. I love a good set of nipples. That sounds fun. It looks like a lot of fun. We could call it Hundreds of Badgers. I traumatized my kids by letting them watch. Wait, what? What did you let them watch? Bruno. I think that's great. I think that's fantastic. My daughter watched Reservoir Dogs when she was like 4 or 5 years old, okay? Come on. And she's not a mass murderer or anything that I know of. If she is, she's really, really good at it. Yeah, she's the filmologist. That's right. Max is the arty one who knows all the great cult, like, esoteric films. I think it's great. What a great group. The penis wagging scene was like, oops, sorry. I know. I'm sorry. Sometimes that stuff makes me laugh. Not always. Sometimes I don't like stupid humor, but sometimes it just makes me really laugh. And if anything, I know that goofy the Olin Mills style portrait. Oh my God. Bobo and I have wanted to get a portrait like Kim and Kath. Remember Kath and Kim when they did the American remake of it? And it was Molly Shannon or was it Molly Shannon? I don't know. But anyway, Bobo and I we still intend to get like a glamour shot, the two of us, like a Walmart photo, where we're like, we're going to do that and then hang it in our houses. We have always wanted to do that. Can you AI Photoshop the photo? We could, but we want to just actually go and get a real Walmart photo. Like with, like wearing matching tops, Maybe someday if Bobo ever exposes her true identity, we'll show you the picture, but not at this point. We're not there yet. Oh my God, too funny. All right. I love you guys. I'll definitely be in the chat tonight with RadPod. And then I will also be live tomorrow morning with lots of fun stuff. Tons of fun. If something really weird happens today that we should get together for, I'll throw up a live. So just make sure you hit the bell, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell so it's solid, and that means you'll get a notification when I go live. Because, you don't want to miss a thing. You don't want to miss a thing. And yeah, so thank you for coming to Economics Thursday. Oh no, RadPod is not on Discord. RadPod is on, Radicalized Pod is on YouTube. So I'll be in the chat over there when they're on, is I guess what I was saying. The frogs are peeing in our pond. The frogs are peeing in our pond. Spring is near. The frogs are peeing in our pond. Spring is near. The frogs are peeing in the pond. Spring is near. Don't get that frown. The frogs are peeing in our pond. Spring is near. Peeping. Okay, whatever. I like peeing better. All right. Thanks, Jim. Lunchtime. All right. Love you guys. Have a great day. I will see you later. Take care. Be good. Keep hope alive. Oh, Athena moon landing. Thank God we landed on the moon. I love you guys.